Actually, we've had a lot of experience with them. They're an act of war to some degree. Over time, they're a tax on goods. I mean, the tooth fairy doesn't pay them. I mean, and you always have to just, and then what? You always have to ask that question in economics. Always say, and then what?
That is, of course, legendary investor Warren Buffett, a warning Sunday morning about President Trump's tariffs, which did go into effect, 25% tariffs, in fact, on imports from Canada and Mexico going in overnight. The Trump administration imposing an extra 10% tariff on China on top of the already instituted 10% tax on Chinese imports. Both China and Canada moved swiftly after midnight to retaliate, announcing their own levies on U.S. goods. Canada vowed tariffs of up to 25%. And late yesterday, the Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, warned the economic back and forth will be a disaster for both countries.
It's one person that's coming to attack us economically. Your closest friend, your treasured ally that will stand shoulder to shoulder with you in every situation you've faced. And he's attacking the person, his number one customer. There's no country in the world that buys more products off the U.S. than we do. We're the number one trading customer to 28 states. And a lot of them are red states. They're going to feel the pain like they've never felt before.
Meanwhile, Mexico's president expected to announce her response at a news conference in Mexico City later this morning. Together, China, Canada, and Mexico accounted for more than 40% of all U.S. imports last year. Also, its top three export markets for the United States. Let's bring in the anchor of CNBC's Worldwide Exchange, Frank Holland. Frank, so how are the markets reacting to these new tariffs? Looked like they kind of were anticipating them yesterday.
Yeah, good morning. Right now, we're looking at the futures. I'm looking right now, I mean, basically flat, moving fractionally higher or lower. But of course, yesterday, we saw a major sell-off on Wall Street with the S&P 500, often called the broader market, having its worst day of the year. The tech-heavy NASDAQ down more than 2.5%. So these tariffs, they're raising a lot of questions for investors, business leaders, and small business owners. We can't leave Main Street out of this. The questions are, will they spark inflation? Will they metaphorically be the straw on the back of the camel for the consumer that's already stretched thin? And what will other countries do in response? From tariffs to other measures, today we saw China put U.S. biotech company Illumina on their list of companies that they believe threaten national security. And while these kind of things, it's not necessarily official retaliation. There's other companies that work within China that need state approval for different business initiatives. One name often mentioned is Apple. They essentially need Chinese government approval to launch their Apple Intelligence service for iPhones there. So as we look at this, the question is, what kind of impact will tariffs have on the U.S. economy and on the markets? We had the head of research for J.P. Morgan on my show yesterday. According to her research, last year, the effective tariff rate here in the U.S., it was about 2%, just over that. With these tariffs that went into effect today, that's going to jump up to approximately 9%. And then we also have a Wall Street that's become increasingly sensitive to economic reports and economic data. Yesterday, we had one that certainly seemed to shock investors. It came from the Atlanta Fed. They put out a forecast for GDP, gross domestic product, kind of the report card for the economy. They update it on a regular basis. So back on February 28th, they had a forecast of GDP being down 1.5% for Q1. Yesterday, they put out a new forecast down 2.8%. Certainly a shock to the market, a big change when it comes to that. So a lot of questions about these tariffs and how's it all going to play out. There was some thought before that these tariffs, they were a negotiating ploy, but now we see the president's very serious about implementing them.
GDP down, inflation up. CNBC's Frank Holland. Frank, thanks so much. We'll be watching those markets as they open a short time from now. Joe, just looking at the Wall Street Journal op-ed page, the title, Trump takes the dumbest tariff plunge. They write, we've courted Mr. Trump's ire by calling the Mexico and Canada levies the dumbest in history, and we may have understated the point, writes the Wall Street Journal, closing by calling Trump unbridled tariff man, saying he was always going to be a big economic risk in a second term, and here we are, writes the Wall Street Journal.
I mean, it's unbelievable. He says that 25% levies on Mexico and Canada will begin today. And again, here's the Wall Street Journal editorial page Willie was talking about. And Ed Luce, you've got a lot of really smart people over at Financial Times that went to those really smart schools, I'm sure, over in Britain. So maybe you can help me out here. And I'm dead serious. I mean, this Wall Street Journal obviously been consistent on this. when Donald Trump got into office, we talked about how the economy was strong, but I talked about we had three bubbles. We had the fiscal bubble, a $36 trillion debt that at some point is going to be a bomb that's going to wreck our economy and the world's economy if we don't take care of it. No, it doesn't look like they're going to take care of that. We have the crypto bubble that, of course, is blowing up right now. And we have the stock market bubble. And so the point was, we have to handle this with care. We can't go around talking about tariffs. We can't go around talking about fights with our best trading partners. And now here we are more than a month in, and what do we have? More threats of tariffs. You've got consumer confidence going down. You've got all those mergers that everybody said, oh, we're going to dive into after those left-wingers from the Biden administration leave Washington. They were saying that on Wall Street. Now they're afraid to do anything because of the uncertainty that's surrounding it. And with consumer confidence down, now you're seeing the Atlanta Fed, and I suspect it's not going to be that bad. I mean, I don't think we're going to be like minus 3% at the end of the first quarter, but the economy is grinding down and slowing down. The stock market over the past month has dropped a great deal. You just look at Tesla's stock numbers over the past month and see how they've dropped. Look how the NASDAQ has dropped. Look how the top tech companies have dropped. All of it around uncertainty. All of this talk. You know, a lot of people assumed that this tariff talk was just sort of, just posturing and negotiating. But even if it ends up being that, Ed, it's having a detrimental impact on this economy and shaking investors and shaking consumers to their core.
Yeah, I mean, the school of wishful thinking after last November was, look, we've got Scott Bessent, we've got Howard Lutnick, we've got adults being appointed to these roles, and they're not going to let Trump carry out such suicidal actions. And that explains to some degree why the stock market remained so frothy during most of the transition, and why Bitcoin and others were surging. But the school of wishful thinking was wishful thinking. This is Trump in charge. It's not Scott Bessent in charge. It's not Howard Lutnick in charge. And what he's just outlined, what he's just announced with these huge tariffs against America's three largest trading partners by far, by the way, China, Mexico, and Canada, is the largest tax increase on the American consumer since 1993. It's not a tax on foreign companies. It's a tax on the American consumer, something Trump refuses to acknowledge, but is borne out by all the economics on this subject. And at a time when, as you mentioned, Joe, consumer confidence is not just falling, it's falling steeply, it's falling sharply. This is going to be a hammer blow because people are going to see higher prices. And those higher prices are going to cause the Fed not to cut interest rates and quite possibly to raise them because they are inflationary. And we are then going to start to get into a situation where the Atlanta Fed's projections for the first quarter become reality for 2 quarters, which is a shrinking economy, which is a Trump recession, and which would be an avoidable Trump recession. This is self-inflicted harm that we're seeing at enormous speed.
Well, and that's one of the reasons that we and other people have been warning from the very beginning that there's that Donald Trump inherited a strong economy. Handle it with care, because there are a lot of plates that are spinning. And right now it appears that the goal is to let those plates fall to the ground and break and see exactly what happens. Jonathan Lemire, so what I need you to do right now is tell our viewers, not what the reports appear to say or what Warren Buffett appears to say. What are people inside the White House? What are people closest to Donald Trump telling you? What does your reporting tell you about the White House's view on why they are doing this when the economy's in a precarious position? What do they hope to get out of this?
It's two parts here, Joe. First of all, there is just the pure politics part of this. Trump, we talked about this yesterday, has believed in tariffs. It's one of the few through lines of his political ideology. Even as he's shifted back and forth on many issues, including what party he belongs to, he has always believed in tariffs, despite what economists warn. And he promised them. It was so central to what he talked about all last year on the campaign trail, in his early weeks in office. There was a sense there that he had to follow through. He couldn't be seen as just bluffing. I think they believe that tariffs can be a tool. And again, we've just gone through the reasons why economists think it's a bad idea. They believe tariffs can be a tool to push some of these trading partners, even our closest allies, to give up something, to negotiate something here. And I think for Mexico, it remains the border. Trump has been privately frustrated that the border crossings go low. He wants them even lower. He wants more deportations. He feels like he needs to have a show with Mexico. Let's twin this with...
Let me ask you this, though. I thought border crossings on the southern border were pretty darn low. I thought that they were lower than they've been in years. That's number one. Number two, I thought Mexico was already moving troops to the border. Number three, I thought the problem was not coming from Mexico. The problem was coming from the United States, and that they're just not able to find quickly enough for the president's appetite enough migrants to deport. I thought that was the problem with the numbers. Is this, and this is not a leading question, but how is this a Mexico problem right now? Because I thought illegal border crossings were relatively low right now from Mexico.
That they are, but this is still the Trump's White House's point of view, which is that they still want it to be even lower. Also, let's twin this with the reporting from last week from the Wall Street Journal about how Secretary Hegseth from the Pentagon suggested there might even be U.S. military options within Mexico because of the way the cartels, the U.S. claims, are working with the Mexican government to get fentanyl across the border. And that was the other part of this. It's not just migrants. It's about the drugs coming across the border from the White House's point of view. Mexico's pushed back saying, well, the issue is the U.S. not being able to curb the demand for those drugs inside our own borders. But they believe the tariffs can still be a tool. White House aides, Willie, have told me that these may not be in place all that long. If Trump can claim some sort of concession, some sort of victory, whether it is on the numbers or some other ill-defined measure that allows him to say, hey, another one, look tough, get a win, we'll move on before there's too much economic damage. That may be how this plays out. But Trump, in a way, I'm told by a few people, had sort of backed himself into a corner, that he needed to, at least for a time being, put in place some tariffs.